No, I had some good picks on there. Tim Kaine,
Oh no.
Roy
Uh-oh.
No,
Cooper.
Bubble rot brain
I mean,
is happening
okay,
right
Cooper at least has a chance. I mean,
Yes.
I
he
don't think Tim
exists.
Kaine has a chance, but I thought it could have been a good pick.
Does it end?
Welcome to the Predicting Weekly Markets podcast, where we analyze the news through the lens of Predictit's markets. I'm your co-host, Jacob Studwell. I'm here with Predictit Market Genie, Garth Yuckham, and we're joined by our colleague, Victoria Worley, to discuss the news of the week. Garth, happy Thanksgiving week. Do you still celebrate Thanksgiving over there? What's your...
Yes, and it's called Steve's Giving, and I'm very, very thrilled. I cannot wait to pick up my bird on Wednesday. The bigger the better. We'll see. It's kind of a little bit of a game of roulette here. You tell the guy 10 kilos and you might get 15. So, we'll see. I'm really excited.
Kilos? I'm pretty sure that's like 2 times what a pound is.
It's like 20 plus pounds. It's a big bird.
I have so
That's
many
a
other
big Steve.
Yeah,
Big
thank
Steve.
you. The Steve
Big
part.
Steve.
We have so much to get to. I have to move on though. So we're going to discuss redistricting today. Lots and lots of news coming out like Friday afternoon. I guess they just dump all of the redistricting news late on Friday. So we'll cover all that stuff. We'll cover the redistricting markets. And then we're going to get to our 2028 Democratic nominee for president draft. We're going to do 4 rounds each. We'll go around. We'll try to pick the winner. Not really a front runner this early in the game, so I think it could be interesting. So let me give you the scene, and then I'll kick it over to Victoria. She's kind of the redistricting queen, but we got a federal court throughout the new map by Texas Republicans ruling that lawmakers had illegally diluted racial minorities' voting power. And then it went up to the Supreme Court, and they temporarily allowed the map to hold. We're now seeing in the market itself on Predictit that SCOTUS is going to allow Texas redistricting. It's at 84 cents, but it's interesting because it seems like we're gonna get a final ruling before that map deadline, which is March 31st of 2026.
So Texas was the first to really take on this push to redistrict mid-census cycle, which is really coming from the top, right? Trump sort of made this push, encouraging GOP state legislators and governors, like, hey, get as much of a lead as you can, right? So Texas, Greg Abbott, Ken Paxton really took this on, redrew the maps. I think it was, 5 GOP-friendly districts came out of it, and so we saw that. The map got pushed through, but then went to federal court. So not necessarily totally surprising to anyone, the map got struck down. But the way that the map got struck down has people going nuts because the majority opinion writer, a Trump-appointed judge for the Fifth Circuit, Judge Brown, he struck down the map, actually. Was saying it was partisan, was saying that really getting partially struck down because Trump was asking for it to be redrawn for explicitly racial reasons. And the VRA, the Voting Rights Act, which is at the Supreme Court this term, it's already been heard in Louisiana v. Calais, so we should be expecting an opinion about that in the coming months. Racial gerrymandering, not copacetic, not cool. So Judge Brown was, despite being a Trump-appointed judge, was like, not about it. But what's really interesting is Judge Smith, one of the judges on the 3-judge panel for the federal court, released a broadside statement saying, hey, I wasn't allowed to get my opinion out in time, like my dissenting opinion out, and he ripped his colleagues a new one. Like, it was a huge blow to judicial legitimacy, to Brown standing as a judge and the opinion author, and his dissenting opinion has since been released, but the fact that it wasn't released with the majority opinion is huge. So naturally, within, I think it was 12 hours of this strike down of the Texas maps, Ken Paxton, Greg Abbott had it to the Supreme Court, and Justice Samuel Alito, who's in charge of emergency applications for that area of the country put a stay or a hold on the federal court's ruling. So basically, they'll be taking up this case. So it's sort of a matter to see what happens. It's interesting that it's coming after Louisiana v. Calais.
Yeah, so I have a lot of different questions about timing, but I mean, it's a possibility that they take up the case and then they just say, okay, whatever the federal court said initially. But then let's get back into the initial ruling. The lone dissenter, and remind me his name.
Judge Smith.
And he didn't get his dissent published because of a deadline thing? Is that?
Yeah, they impose a really strict deadline. So normally, the way that judicial opinions work is you release sort of like a draft or like a shortened version of everything, and so you then release the full thing and the publications of the opinions at the end of the term. But it's still a pretty comprehensive, and judicial courtesy is the norm. And these things take time. And I'm sure all three judges on the panel have clerks for them and things like that who are busting their behinds, trying to get these opinions and all this stuff out. But some way, somehow, Judge Smith's 104, I think it's now 104 pages, which is especially long for a dissent, I think. I don't think I've ever quite seen a dissent that long.
Isn't the main opinion's 169 pages?
Thank you.
Yeah.
I mean, he spends 100 of the 102 pages or whatever it is, just going after Judge Brown and disparaging him, calling him short of calling him names. It's amazing. And I mean, he's a Reagan-appointed judge, been around the block, and he's like, I had someplace to be over the weekend, and you couldn't wait. I mean, it was wild.
Judicial courtesy is a huge thing in the courts. These people are still friends. Everyone forgets that Ruth Bader Ginsburg and Scalia used to go vacation together and were besties for the resties. And now we're seeing this breakdown of norms, which is pretty consistent with other branches, but the courts are supposed to be this sort of apolitical, nonpartisan branch, and to see that making its way through the courts is huge for judicial legitimacy and everything. So it'll be really interesting to see how this goes and if the Supreme Court even comments on it.
Do we have early leans on where we think the VRA is going to stand, or what the opinion there is going to be?
I don't know. So the VRA is already a bit gutted just over the years, because I mean the last really remaining section left is section 2, and that's what's up at the plate with Louisiana v. Calais. What's interesting, though, is that Louisiana had enacted a new congressional map in 2024 that was looking to make 2 majority black districts. And so white voters were not pleased and challenged the map. So normally when we're seeing a lot of these redistricting challenges, it's sort of the other way.
Yeah, I will say, if you're reading the tea leaves and you're thinking about how these majority districts or majority dissents basically lie, we did see, I think it was in the Harvard case where a white student sued because they weren't admitted because of kind of a quota system. But, we see kind of this trickling up to the court, and the court saying, no matter what, if you're a minority, if you're a majority, anything that kind of falls into this racial question will be struck down. So I have an early lean on with the market at 84 cents, kind of SCOTUS allowing the Texas redistricting, basically along the VRA ruling, because that'll come first. 84 cents seems about right. I probably wouldn't get into the market at 84 cents. It's a little high for me. I think, as Garth and I discussed last week, this will come down a bit as people stop thinking about it and stop looking at it. You'll see people kind of taking their money, and then this will probably come down to closer to the low 70s, and maybe that's where you want to get in. But looking at the entire map, if we start to decide, are we looking at 6 to 7 redistrict states, or are we looking at more, looking at how many states will redistrict by March 31st, 2026. 6 or 7 right now is 80 cents. 8 or 9 is 34 cents. And 10 or 11 is 12 cents. So I definitely think right now everyone thinks it's going to be 6 or 7, but we have so many different states on the prowl for making new maps. Victoria, can you just take us through which states are planning on redistricting?
Yeah, so there's a ton of states that are considering this, and every state is in a different position. I mean, just last week, South Carolina, chair of the Freedom Caucus, introduced a new map, proposing a new map to out Jim Clyburn, essentially the state's only Democratic representative. I don't think that's really going to go anywhere. Most South Carolinians don't seem interested in that. Speaking for the home state, Indiana has had a ton of drama with their interest in redistricting. So Governor Braun was really trying to take a listen to Trump suggestion and see about trying to really just like get that like mid-cycle push, get some extra seats, get majority where you can. But the Indiana state legislator voted down Braun's wish to have a special legislative session on redistricting, and will reconvene in the new year. But a fourth Republican state Senate rep has been involved in a swatting attempt.
This isn't great. I mean, this kind of echoes like the
Yeah.
Marjorie Taylor Greene news, which we haven't hit on yet. Marjorie Taylor Greene planning to retire in January, which is very interesting. And she basically cited threats on her life since she returned. I think this is the new wave. I hope it's not. You know, we condemn all political violence on the Predicted Pod, but this is not great. And
No, it's not a good look.
Echo through the rest of the states. I mean, if we go through, Maryland and Illinois are interested in redistricting soon. We have a Utah judge throughout their new Republican drawn map. Virginia plans to draw a new map. Florida House Select Committee on Redistricting is scheduled to meet on December 4th. And then we also have GOP passed favorable maps in Missouri, North Carolina, Ohio, California obviously just voted for redistricting. So we're in the low, probably 5 states, I think, right now, and we're going to maybe see a few more try to redistrict mid-cycle, but I don't know if we're going to get past that 7 marker that's key in this market.
I think 6 to 7 is a bit too high. I would not buy in on that personally, but I think that really after the new year, I mean, Virginia, they're looking once now that they flipped, I think, like a dozen seats in their state house. They are a lot more inclined. They still have a razor thin majority in the state Senate. But now that they have a much stronger lead in the state house, they're a lot more inclined to redistrict, but they're not going to be able to do that until after the new year. And I think after Texas and California, too, the Justice Department sued on the 13th of this month, so over their map. So I don't think we're really going to hear anything on that until December 3rd. That's when the first preliminary hearing injunction will be. I don't think we're going to hear anything really and have a much clearer idea on mid-cycle redistricting until after in 2026, really.
Yeah, that's fair.
It sounds like it's shaping up to be a real race against the clock. You know,
it really is.
Can they get it done? And we have to remember the state legislatures don't always move so quickly.
Oh yeah, and with the Louisiana v. Calais opinion again, like hate to keep bringing it up, but that is huge, and I think that's really going to affect a lot of people's timelines, because just because they heard oral arguments on October 15th doesn't mean we'll get an opinion until we couldn't get one until like February or March.
And we also can't forget, I mean, we started with Texas in this analysis, and you kind of breezed right past it, but, you know, special session being called, and where did the Democrats go? They fled the state. I mean, we forget about the shenanigans that either side can pull, and it will just draw out. And so this becomes really a race against the clock, and really anything can happen. I mean, we've got 6 states that have already implemented new maps, but with these legal challenges, do you sit on 6 to 7 because it's a bird in the hand, or do you think it's going to shift further down or shift up because of the rulings potentially in December? So
I like this long shot call because we're looking at 4 to 5 is 1 cent currently. We have not been interested in a 1 cent market yet on this podcast, but I do think There's a time for everything. I always had like a 1 cent button that I could just hit and we could go crazy. 1 cent, we're interested in 1 cent. But this is a market that is really complicated. There are so many states that are involved. There's so much information going around. And I do think in those types of markets, we can see this kind of volatility where we see a 1 cent
definitely.
contract jump up really quickly. We'll play this out and we'll see, but we're interested in 4 or 5 at 1 cent, maybe even less than that. They're all at 1 cent below. Maybe kind of play your game and spread your chips around. But all right, let's move to the fun part. Who's ready to draft some Democratic nominees here? Woo!
Let's go.
Okay, cool. All right, I just randomly assorted the order, and here's the order. It will be Garth is drafting first. I am drafting second, and Victoria, you are drafting third. You'll get the turn. It'll be a snake, so you'll get 2,
Nice.
and then, Garth will get 2. That's kind of how it works.
Perfect.
Definitely give us your pick and your reasons why. And yeah, I think let's jump into it. Garth, give us your first pick.
I mean, with the first pick on the draft, I'm gonna have to go with Mr. Number One, Gavin Newsom. It's early days, and we got a long, long way to go. But that man is poised to run. Remember what he did with DeSantis and having debates. He's turned up the heat on Twitter against the Trump administration. He's put himself in the thick things of redistricting. A little similar to J.B. Pritzker, who's also on our board here. I think he's really well placed to be there. Will he win? I don't know. But I think he's really well placed to factor majorly going
and
forward.
Garth, if you think about the mechanisms, I think he could easily win Iowa. I think Iowa is just made for him. I think the people in Iowa are going to love him. So when you get to Iowa, and then it's like, oh, can he parlay New Hampshire? And then it's like, well, now he's won most of the early contests. You're going to kind of look for those strings of momentum. So it's the clear number one pick, and happy that he got the number one pick. But
Gavin Newsom, I feel like the really one knock against him is he's from California, and California, it's not helping him in any way.
Yep. This is the perfect segue because for the second pick, I am going to select Josh Shapiro. Josh Shapiro with the second pick. I'm not going by the markets. We'll get to that analysis in a second. But Josh Shapiro, really popular governor in the most important state in the country, Pennsylvania. You always want to pick up those home states when it comes to the Electoral College. I think Josh Shapiro is very, very well spoken. I also think kind of white meat babyface vibes where he can win Iowa, probably more interesting in New Hampshire. I even think he could go down to North Carolina and be compelling as well. So I don't think he's one-dimensional. I don't know where the Jewish thing will fall on the overall country, but we'll see. I still think Josh Shapiro is more interesting than AOC. I think Josh will run, and that's why he wanted nothing to do with Kamala Harris last time around. So I think Josh is going to run.
He's saying all the right things, which means he's saying nothing. He's like, leave me alone. I have a job to do. I'm governor. And, that's where you want to be if you're in the top job in your state. You don't want to be saying anything. I'm focused on the job. I'm here for my people. It's a good pick.
Yeah, it's a great pick because that was my number one pick, but it's fine. No, I do really like Josh Shapiro. Really like a former AG. I think a former AG is just a really great presidential pick. Fun fact too, Josh Shapiro is on my friend's brother's podcast, as we're on a podcastception. Number 3 though, as I'm thinking through my list, so as the female representative here, got to shout out Gretchen Whitmer. I think that she, Michigan, Midwest, great look, swing state, strong female senator. I think that she has poised herself pretty well. And I think that she could get a...
Has she? The face blocking event. I mean, that's not...
Yeah. Yeah, I think that she's probably one of the better or the more well-suited female candidates that I could think of. But that does lead me into my number 4 pick, Kamala. I Yeah, I
Wow.
know, I know, I know.
Wow.
I know this is a
That
hot
she goes
take,
in the
but
ring.
hear me out. Kamala, she was actually on her social media. She posted someone in a Kamala 2028 shirt this week on Friday. This is signaling a bit that her interest, right? I don't think anyone's really going to unite the Democrats until they're on the national stage again. And Kamala, she had it last time. Now, does she have it default because of Biden in that position? Probably. But
But does she get a job between now and then? What is she going to do? It's
she's
3
on her
long
book talk.
years.
She's campaigning for Afton Ben in Tennessee, which is a market we have open right now as well.
No, but I don't think it matters that Kamala isn't going to get a job because I think you're right, Garth. Like, she's not going to do anything between now and then. I think
No, she's
what's
not.
good about this pick is that you know she's going to run because there's nothing else
Mm-hmm.
at this point. If you've gone for the big ticket and you haven't grabbed it, and then there's no way really to fall back. She's not running for governor in California.
Well, you passed on governor in California. I mean, passed. I mean, she had the opportunity to jump right
That's
back
an
on the
open
saddle,
race.
and she said no.
That's an open race for sure. She could have won
She's
that. I think.
in no man's land.
Yeah. Yeah. But that's because she wants to run again. I think she believes in her primary winning abilities. Victoria does too, apparently. I don't.
Apparently,
I
no, not at all.
2020
Not
was
at
not
all.
a great first time around, I would say.
Yeah, but then it's her Newsom, and Newsom is pretty divisive.
Yeah. That's fair. That's
I mean,
fair.
so is she. So is she.
She's really divisive.
All right, I'm moving on to this is my second pick, the 5th pick in the draft. I mean, she's fallen so low. I gotta go with her. My girl AOC. We don't know if she's running for Senate. I think she probably is running for Senate, but if she does run for president, she has Bernie. She has like a grassroots vibe with Mamdani and her being besties.
She has a lane. She has a lane.
That's what's most important. We want to see the clear lanes, and AOC is the number 1 progressive candidate, and it's kind of not even close. I'm trying to think of somebody who would fill that behind her.
Mamdani. Mamdani.
Mamdani
He's got a new
definitely
job.
has to govern for a little bit, and he's also too young for this time around, obviously, with president. But if you're looking
And he's not eligible.
Yeah, immigrant candidate. Great point. But
Oh, yeah.
if we did see...
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
I always forget that too.
I know,
It's like
Victoria.
the Schwarzenegger thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I always forget.
Yeah, no, I think AOC is, again, the perfect progressive candidate here. And who else is going to fill that lane? I mean, come on. So...
This is true.
Yeah,
This is true.
It's a great pick. I got really good value here. I feel great about getting Shapiro and AOC. But Garth, over to you for your next pick.
Well, I mean, talking about value, I think Andy Bashir, come on. State of Kentucky turning it purple. I mean, gotta like the guy. You know, you can't say anything really bad about him. And considering how much money they threw at him last go around for the governorship, I mean, and the Trump backing that happened, I mean, Bashir's just cleaned up. And, you know, he's considering it. So if he's considering it, well, I'll get on that train. I mean, he might be able to be the guy who spreads the divide. He's not as divisive as Newsom. He's not from California. He's from the middle of America. And there's a lot to like there. I mean, obviously, his name recognition's not that great. I would say, not compared to a Whitmer or a Harris or, I mean, even a Shapiro. He's probably a notch below Shapiro, flying under the radar. But a lot of good intangibles.
Yeah, that's the Bill Clinton lane, I would call it, right? Right from generally red state, popular Democrat. He's really well spoken. Like he I saw him on Bill Maher. I've heard him on other podcasts. He does that talking thing that I think Newsom also does so well. So great pick here. Yeah, good stuff. All right, I'm gonna go to my next pick, and we've mentioned him in the past. I'm going with Pete Buttigieg. I think another guy who goes on Fox News, has hard conversations, kind of like the opposite of whatever Katie Porter is. Can actually like have challenging arguments with the other side. And I think Pete is going to do really well on debate stage. I think that's perfect for him. I am a little bit concerned with his interest from black voters. Black voters have literally negative interest in Pete Buttigieg. So it'll be interesting. Maybe he could, come in second or third in Iowa, parlay that into something in New Hampshire, and then, all else is like, okay, I'll lay low until we get to, the first Super Tuesday. But I really like Pete here. Again, he's not like a winner. He hasn't run that many races, but he's very popular, and people also know Pete very well at this point. So
he's like your uncle. Everybody has that uncle that is just kind of likable. Don't dislike him.
Uncle.
Yeah.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah. Who doesn't love a uncle? And like your fun uncle, and then you just like you get to send the kids back, and like you get to have fun with them. I feel like you wouldn't say no, like when they ask for candy or to stay up late. Like that's the kind of uncle I would want. Yeah. All right, my go.
Yep, your turn.
Okay, cool. This is tough. I'm going to surprise myself with my own take. I'm going to go J.B. Pritzker. I think he was really smart when he aligned himself with the Texas Dems. I don't think he had that sort of name recognition that could be really important. Like, Illinois, it's pretty solidly, like, blue. Like, that's not doing him much. But I think that aligning himself with the Texas Dems, he's taking on that sort of Newsom-esque persona of sort of just antagonizing Trump, which I think is a really like solid sort of unifying aspect like of the Democratic Party, probably one of the only unifying aspects of the Democratic Party right now. And I think the one thing he really has against him is his gambling history. It seems like he has the money to do it, so like more power to you, but I don't think people might be willing to put stock in that.
No, I think JB is interesting. I will say, Victoria, at this point, you've taken multiple people that were not even on my draft board. Although I will say AOC wasn't on my draft board either, but I had to take AOC.
I think if he stays on the path he is and just continues to align himself in this sort of firmly anti-Trump, but also just like getting himself on the national stage and getting that name recognition and staying in the news, I think that it would be really key for him. But I don't know. I think he could.
He in many ways he's like too big to fail. No pun intended.
Yeah.
He's a billionaire. He comes from a good family, if you will. He's risen to the top. He's making all the right moves in the fights that he's picking. He's a governor, but he's also from Illinois. And Illinois is a little bit like the Midwestern version of California.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. Does he know how to work with the other side? I mean, because Springfield doesn't. So, what is his appeal? I mean, he's like the Republican version of what's his bucket from New Jersey? Like a former governor,
Chris Murphy,
who turned into a foil for Trump. It's.
I do want to put you on the spot because I realized that you didn't take a second pick around. You just took Bashir, and then you didn't get another one.
I didn't get another one. It's okay. Okay.
Your turn again right now. For the seventh pick, go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, no worries. Actually, I was going to take Cory Booker. I think Cory Booker's got nothing to lose. He's already thinking about it. He's the opposite. So he's the opposite of the guy who's like, oh, I'm not thinking about this. I got a job to focus on. Cory Booker's been in the Senate for long enough. And, he's had his fights in the Senate. And he's becoming a little bit more visible. We'll see how he does on a debate stage. But he's, I like that pick. I like where he's at. I mean, he's just. I feel like he's playing with house money, and it could either not take off, or it might go really, really, really well for him because he's pretty well spoken. And yeah, I don't know. I like me some.
This is such a
Cory
good
Booker
pick.
right
I
now.
love Cory Booker here. I'm very jealous. He was number one on my draft board at that point. Victoria, back to you for your second pick on the wraparound.
Oh my goodness. I gotta go Southern. I gotta go John Ossoff. You keep doing that to my draft pick, Scarf. I'm gonna start feeling a certain way. I know.
I mean, well, he's the most vulnerable senator on the map. I mean, will he have a job in 2026? I don't know.
That'll set him. Then he can run for president. Duh.
Who wants to
No.
go for a loser? I mean,
Beto
unemployed.
O'Rourke.
Yeah.
I would love.
Yeah,
listen,
he
John
could be the next
Ossoff.
Beto O'Rourke.
Totally, he really does.
But he has turned Georgia into an arguably purple state. Him and Ralph Warnock. Like, they have changed, like, Southern politics a bit. At least, like, in some major, like, metropolitan areas. And I think that he has appeal with voters of color that some of these other, like, white candidates don't. And I think that he could really make a difference. We haven't seen a like prominent Southern Democrat, liberal Southern Democrat at least, in a very long time, and I think that that could be a huge get for Southerners, especially those who have been most affected by Trump's shutdown. Again, sort of like leaning on that Andy Bashir, like everyman. He's done really well with Appalachian voters and voters we normally see like voting red and everything. Like, I think that John Ossoff can do something a bit similar, at least in the South.
So
Yeah,
let me ask.
I like that a lot.
If he goes up against Kemp for the Senate, do you feel as strongly about his potential for 2028?
Ask me again in like a year.
Oh my God,
I'll
nobody
put it on my calendar.
against than Kemp in Georgia. Like, that is just the biggest uphill climb I could ever imagine.
It's a steamroll. It's just a pure steamroll at this point. I mean, and that's, I don't think Ossoff is a bad candidate. I think he's just, when you're running for president, you have to get lucky. The things have to move forward. It's like the George Bush and Jeb Bush, discussion. It was supposed to be Jeb, but George was there first, and he had been a governor, and he was in the right place at the right time, and away you go, and you get swept off into office. And I find Ossoff as unfortunately facing an unfriendly path at this point. So,
I don't disagree, but I think if he can at least like come out not as bad as people expect him to, I think he has a shot.
Beto O'Rourke.
All right, on to my last pick. Pick number 11. I'm going to go with someone of the moment. I'm going with Ro Khanna. I think Ro has momentum right now. Main sponsor on the Democratic side of the Epstein Files bill. Also a big pusher of banning stock trading for Congress people. I think he knows what at least the online folks are talking about, and he can kind of do that Trump thing where he says, oh, well, waitresses will vote for me. I'll say no taxes on tips. So he'll get that online community of people to say, yeah, we hate Congress people, trading on stocks. That should be illegal. Ro Khanna is my person. I think he will probably take on a lot of those other more online issues. Online wins elections now. You see Mamdani. He, was really effective online. So I like Ro Khanna. Obviously, California is not amazing. We don't love the where he's from, where he represents is not useful in the primary or the general election, but I like Ro. He's got some momentum. Ro Khanna, anyone?
Well, he's traveling. He's been to 8 battleground states already. The most of anybody who has been considered. He's making a name for himself, but maybe he's making a name for himself for 2032. Just saying.
Could be. I assume he'll run anyway, and he'll run again. the next time around, maybe kind of build up his persona and kind of Andrew Yang it and parlay it into another election. Another person I had on my draft board just in case we went really deep here. But Victoria, you want to give comments on Roe and then give us your last pick?
I think I've already had 4 picks. I think it's Garth's last pick, but
No.
do we have Ro Khanna on our market?
I'll take my 3.
No, Roe Khanna is not
I don't think we
featured.
have Ro Khanna on our market.
Yeah,
But that's okay.
I think he loses his draft pick.
Oh, you think that's it? It was only people available. You know what? I'm going Roe Khanna
Is this a wild card choice here?
Yeah, I like the wild card choice. No, like I had Ro Khanna on my list before I realized we were pulling from the market.
0 cents Roe Khanna will be added at some point, and
Okay.
I like Roe a lot. Garth, over to your last pick.
Yeah, because this is the last pick.
Well, if we're gonna go the wild card route, then how about some Mark Kelly? He's not in the market either.
See, I wanted Mark Kelly. Mark Kelly, I like Mark Kelly. Mark Kelly was my number 3 on my draft board.
Wow.
I mean, everybody loves a good astronaut. I mean, he's in Arizona. It's the only fear I would have with him is that he's going to get too tired. He's going to be too tired of all the partisanship, and he's going to say, this is just not worth it.
So let's run back our teams. Victoria, start us off. Who's your team?
Yeah, so I have Gretchen Whitmer, Kamala, J.B. Pritzker, and John Ossoff.
Amazing. I have Josh Shapiro, AOC, Pete Buttigieg, and Ro Khanna. And Garth?
Yep, and I've got Newsom, Bashir, Booker, and the wild card, Mark.
I will say I like my team a lot, but Garth's team is...
No, I like Garth's team. He got my top, 2 of my top 3 picks before I realized what I was doing.
What was happening, right?
Before I knew what was happening.
Mm-hmm.
No, it's okay. I do think Kamala's got a shot. Appreciate it. All right. This has been the Predict It Weekly Markets podcast. Thanks for everyone for tuning in. Please rate us. Give us comments. Give us feedback. We love it. We're having a good time here. I'm Jacob Studwell, your host. I'm here with Garth Yuckham, Victoria Worley. Thanks everyone for listening. The music is playing, Garth. I remember.
Yeah.
I know.
It is like a sick beat. It is a fun song.
It's good. It's really good.
All right, perfect.
But today,